Hello everyone, welcome to OKS Chef. In today's video, I am going to share you a recipe that is super easy. It is called lemon soy pork chops. This is something that my mom makes and I really enjoy it, and I just want to share this to you guys. This is super simple and easy, especially if you're in college. This is something that you can do. All you need is salt and sugar for your seasoning, and then of course your pork chop. So what I'm doing right now is I am making my mix of salt and sugar. We are doing 1 part salt and 2 parts sugar. You can add a little bit more sugar, but the goal in here is to have more sugar than salt. You do not want it to be very salty because we're going to be adding soy sauce later on. So once you have this mixed together, make sure that you have it thoroughly evened out in here. So that's what I'm doing, as you can see. One thing that I would say is that you have to taste this before you add it into your meat, making sure that it's not too salty. So now once you get your pork chop, I would say pat dry it. Some of you guys may want to wash your pork chop, but I just prefer pat drying my pork chop in here. So it really depends on your cleaning method. Alright, so as I pat dry them, removing any excess blood from the pork chop as well. Now, I have 3 pieces in here. I got this on the local market in here for I think less than $10. You guys would have seen it in the early part of the video how much it cost. All right, now as I pat dry them, we're now going to start to season it with our salt and sugar mix. I would recommend to really rub it into the pork chop, and as you're trying to rub it in, make sure to also get the edges on the fatty part. Those are very important because that's going to be very delicious later on. Now, with the salt and sugar mix that we're doing, you're not really going to taste the super saltiness of it because, again, this is a 1 part salt, 2 part sugar. So it's not gonna be sweet. We're using white sugar. It's not gonna be like super duper sweet. So it's going to be very, very delicious. Once you have thoroughly mixed the salt and sugar mixture, I would then put it on a Ziploc bag. So making sure that you'll have them for marinate for roughly about, I would say, 6 hours to maybe 8 hours or so. You can even do it an overnight. It would be even better when you do it overnight. What this does is that you are removing some of the moisture by the salt, drawing it out inside of the pork chop, and as well as coating it with that bit of salty flavor, and as well as that little bit of sugary flavor as we caramelize it later as we fry it. All right, so we are going to be doing pan fry, not a deep fry, okay? So the remainder of the salt and sugar mixture, do not throw it away because if you make, you'll have an excess of it. So I would recommend to put it on a Ziploc bag for future use because you can definitely make this recipe again. And again, this recipe is super simple. It's easy. You don't really need a lot of ingredients to make this, and you're gonna see it. Now I'm just going to put it on a chiller at -1°C. And then now we're slicing a piece of lemon and then squeezing it. This one, we're going to be use it for the sauce later on as we finish the cooking process. So I'm just going to squeeze out 1 whole lemon in here using a lemon squeezer. If you don't have a lemon squeezer, it is okay. Just use your hands to squeeze it. But I find having a lemon squeezer is just so much easier, and you really get a lot of the lemon by using a lemon squeezer. So for a whole piece of lemon, roughly we managed to get a 1/4 cup of yield for this one, as you can see, roughly above 50 milliliters. Now we have a pan that we heated up. So during this process, I was preheating a pan, and now we're going to be adding the oil. And as we have added the oil, we're still gonna make sure that the oil gets to temperature prior to putting the pork chop. Do not put the pork chop when your wok or your pan is going to be cold, or your oil is going to be cold, and it's not going to give you that really nice sear of the pork chop and that glaze that you're going to be seeing from the sugar as you cook the pork chop. So as you're cooking in here, what you're going to see is that the pork chop opening up a little bit. So that's one thing that you guys got to notice, is that the pork chop changes its structure as it's being denatured. Now, if you're going to be cooking your pork chop, make sure that you cook this thoroughly. The recommended that we see from Google is 145 Fahrenheit or 62.8 Celsius. For me, I would just say, you know, cut open your pork chop, look at it, make sure that there is no more blood and it's not translucent and it's completely white inside. So the cooking process in here, the cooking time will take you about 5 minutes on each side. And then after that, you have to check depending on how high your heat is. So for me, I would run this around medium to low. You don't want it to be too high because it will really burn your pork chop and it's not going to be cooked inside. Another thing that I did here is I cut the pork chops by the fatty side and allowing the pork chop to open up in here. As you can see, it is still raw at this point. By doing a 5 minute, you're going to be cooking both sides of them. And then after that, you would still need to check. So I added another 2 minutes on each side. So roughly about 7 minutes on each side. By, you know, flipping that, you're going to be distributing the heat from back to front, back to front. So cooking really takes some time and love and patience, really. So as you can see in here, we're trying to push down so that we get that good sear on those sides, because as you cook the pork chop, it does kind of curl up and, you know, it's not touching the surface anymore as this is getting denatured. So as you can see at this point, we got the pork chop, you know, almost ready and almost done. We got the caramelization, as you can see. With that kind of sear, it's going to give you a lot of flavor and the texture later on as we dive into the pork chop. So just flipping it, making sure that it's going to be cooked and getting that nice char. It's going to be very, very delicious, and it's going to be worth the cooking in here. Again, this is very simple. Anybody can do it. You know, just adding salt and sugar on the, you know, seasoning in here, and then marinate it for that basically for 6 to 8 hours, and then fry it. And then after that, we're going to be adding the soy and lemon. Hence, we're going to call this a soy lemon pork chop. As you can see, I'm still cutting, making sure that it is cooked, you know, throughout the pork chop in here. Make sure that there is no more blood, no red coming out. Make sure it's, you know, cooked throughout. So I would say making sure that it's into that white color, you know, maybe neutral color, I would say is the perfect terminology. There we go. It is completely done. Now here is our sauce mix. I didn't get to record on how I did it, but this is basically lemon and then soy sauce. Now you need to put more lemon than soy sauce. So what I did is that perhaps maybe 3 tablespoons of soy sauce to a 1/4 cup of lemon. You have to make sure that the taste is more lemony than salty from the soy sauce. All right, so the soy sauce that I'm using was just a normal kikkoman. Now all we gotta do is pour it over on the hot pork chops. I did make 2 pork chops in here. You don't want the pork chop to rest too long. You want this to be added as soon as you finish the pork chops. The main goal for this, as you do this, is that the pork chop becomes a sponge and absorbs all the sauce in here. So adding into that bold flavor of this recipe that we just made. And it's going to be very tangy and has that soy. Look, it's super simple. Anyone can do it. You can also do it. And if you do it, let me know in the comment section. And also don't forget to let us know where this video got to. Share us where you at and what type of recipes you like to make and how did you come across into this video. So as you see there, I added a little bit more soy sauce because it needed a little bit more touch of that, and that was perfect. Now serve this with a bowl of rice, and then you can see I'm adding the pork chop in here, and then we're going to drizzle some of those soy lemon that we just made on top of the pork chop and as well as onto the rice. All right, now we're gonna take a slice of this, and oh, this is gonna be very delicious. This is definitely a comfort food for me. I grew up eating this. My mom would make it. It's really good. And you know what? When I made this, my mom tried it, and she said it was actually really good. So I did a good job making what my mom makes, which is awesome. It feels really good when you can make something good, and your parent tells you that, hey, you actually did it right. That means it's legit, you know? So it was good. There we go. I was enjoying this. So if you make this, let me know in the comment section. Thank you.